This is my ranking of the best anime games that I've played, based purely on my personal experience. Each one is placed from masterpiece to trash, depending on how fun the combat is, how strong the story and characters are, and how well the anime style is brought to life. Let's get straight into the list. Dragon Ball Sparking. Zero is an arena fighter that recreates famous battles from the anime with fast movement, massive energy attacks, story episodes, alternate story paths, tournaments, custom battles, online matches, and a huge roster packed with characters and transformations from across the series. Once I settled into the combat, every fight felt exciting because there was always another technique to learn, another counter to master, and another character worth trying. I liked how battles rewarded good timing instead of random button mashing, while the large roster kept every session fresh. The campaign challenged me more than I expected, and beating difficult opponents felt satisfying after learning their patterns. I also spent plenty of time testing different fighters, replaying alternate story moments, and jumping into tournaments whenever I wanted quick action. The menus could slow things down, but the thrilling combat easily kept my attention. I'm placing this in the great tier. One Piece Odyssey is a turn-based RPG where the Straw Hat Pirates become stranded on a mysterious island after losing their abilities. The adventure mixes original events with revisits to famous story arcs, strategic battles, character skills, exploration, puzzles, and party progression. Once I got deeper into the adventure, I enjoyed seeing the crew interact because their personalities matched the anime really well. The combat stayed easy through most battles, yet I still liked trying different party members and watching their signature attacks come alive with flashy animations. Revisiting memorable locations from the series added plenty of nostalgic moments, while the original characters fit naturally into the story. Some quests asked me to travel across the same areas too often, which slowed the pace, but the strong cast and charming world kept me moving forward. It never reached the excitement I expected from every fight, although it remained entertaining across the long adventure. I'm placing this in the good tier, and that feels like the right ranking. Bleach Rebirth of Souls is a 3D arena fighter that retells Ichigo Kurosaki's rise as a substitute Soul Reaper through major story arcs, combining sword combat, awakenings, cinematic finishers, character abilities, versus battles, and fully voiced scenes inspired by the anime. Once I learned the combat system, every duel became much more enjoyable because timing attacks, guards, and counters mattered instead of pressing buttons without thinking. I liked unlocking different characters and seeing how each one fought in a unique way, especially after activating powerful transformations that completely changed the pace of battle. The flashy finishers captured the anime really well, and the detailed stages made every fight look exciting. Story mode included plenty of cutscenes, which slowed the action at times, and I wish the online features offered more options. Even with those issues, I had fun replaying battles and testing different fighters to discover new strategies. I'm putting this in the good tier. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot retells the original Dragon Ball Z story through semi-open regions filled with exploration, aerial combat, character growth, side missions, and famous moments from the anime. Battles, cutscenes, and familiar locations work together to recreate the series in an interactive way. Once I settled into the adventure, I loved flying across places like Namek and West City because they looked almost exactly as I remembered. The combat became much more enjoyable after unlocking stronger attacks and Super Saiyan forms, making every major fight feel powerful. I also spent plenty of time upgrading skills, collecting Z-orbs, and revisiting classic moments that still carried plenty of excitement. Some side activities like driving and fishing didn't add much for me, and the frequent enemy encounters sometimes interrupted exploration. Even so, the combination of faithful storytelling, satisfying battles, and nostalgic presentation kept me playing until the end. I'm placing this in the great tier. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is an action RPG and arena fighter, where a custom time patroller protects history after powerful villains alter famous Dragon Ball battles. Story missions, character customization, transformations, side quests, training, and large-scale fights create a long adventure packed with content. After spending time building my character, I liked experimenting with different skills until I found a setup that matched my style. Flying around the massive hub, unlocking new techniques, and challenging parallel quests always gave me something new to chase. The combat felt much smoother than I expected, especially once stronger transformations became available and special attacks started playing a bigger role in every battle. I also enjoyed meeting familiar characters and seeing the story connect across different Dragon Ball arcs, even if I wish the timeline changed in more surprising ways. The amount of extra content kept me coming back long after the main story ended. I'm happy to place this in the great tier. Sandland is an action RPG set in a desert where water is scarce, and a young demon named Beelzebub joins a sheriff and an older demon to search for a legendary spring. The adventure combines melee combat, vehicle battles, exploration, stealth missions, crafting, and character progression. As I explored more of the desert, I found myself switching between tanks, bikes, and other vehicles, which kept every mission feeling different. I enjoyed upgrading my machines and unlocking better abilities because they made later battles much more satisfying. The world captured Akira Toriyama's signature style, and every town, character, and monster reminded me why his art stands out. Some stealth sections slowed my progress since getting spotted happened more often than I wanted, but they never became frustrating enough to stop the adventure. The story stayed simple, yet the variety in gameplay kept me interested all the way through. I'm placing this in the good tier. Digimon Storytime Stranger is a turn-based JRPG where a secret agent travels between the human world and the digital world after a disaster sends them 8 years into the past. The adventure combines monster collecting, digivolution, strategic battles, exploration, side quests, and deep character progression. Once I reached the digital world, I couldn't stop exploring because every area felt alive with Digimon roaming, talking, and interacting in ways that made the world feel believable. I spent hours building different teams, experimenting with digivolution paths, and filling the field guide just to discover new monsters. The boss battles pushed me to think carefully about elemental weaknesses and party setups, instead of relying on the same strategy every time. I noticed the fast travel system in some menus felt outdated, but those issues faded once the story reached its strongest moments and the progression really opened up. I'm placing this in the masterpiece tier. Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash is a 3D arena fighter that retells the first season of the anime and JJK, 0 through team-based battles where sorcerers and curses clash using special techniques, awakened abilities, and curse energy across competitive and story modes. Once I spent more time with it, I kept waiting for the combat to become more exciting, but the battles felt repetitive because I relied on the same attacks again and again. I also found the movement awkward, and many combos never flowed the way I expected. Story mode barely held my attention since most scenes were presented as simple slideshows instead of proper cutscenes, making the anime a much better way to enjoy the story. Online matches also became frustrating because of connection issues and the lack of useful features. I wanted much more from the first Jujutsu Kaisen console adaptation, but it never reached that level despite a few flashy special attacks. I'm placing this in the mediocre tier. My Hero 1's Justice 2 is a 3D arena fighter that continues the anime story with fully voiced story chapters, fast-paced team battles, support characters, offline and online modes, a large roster, and colorful cel-shaded visuals that closely match the series. Once I got into the fights, I had a lot of fun trying different heroes, because each character brought unique abilities that kept battles feeling fresh. I switched between the normal and manual controls before settling on the one that suited my style, and I liked having that flexibility. The bright visuals made every special move look like it came straight from the anime, while the expanded roster encouraged me to keep experimenting instead of sticking with the same team. Story mode wasn't the strongest starting point since it picked up halfway through the anime, and the single-player content became a little easy after a while. Even so, the entertaining combat and strong presentation kept me playing. I'm placing this in the good tier. Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions is an arcade-style soccer game that transforms football into fast-paced anime battles with dramatic special shots, flashy tackles, character abilities, story campaigns, online matches, and a deep character creation mode inspired by the long-running manga series. Once I understood the flow of each match, I couldn't stop looking for chances to trigger the cinematic special moves because they made every goal feel exciting. I enjoyed creating my own player in the new hero mode and shaping their skills through matches and character interactions. Every match balanced quick decisions with stylish action, so even familiar football mechanics felt fresh. The presentation captured the anime perfectly, and the large amount of story content kept me busy far longer than I expected. I did notice the long loading times and a few technical issues during cutscenes, but they never outweighed the fun I had on the pitch. I'm placing this in the good tier. That's my ranking of the best anime games I've played. Let me know which one deserves the masterpiece tier in your opinion, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.